All right, guys. So here's another one. I'm going to be talking about resiliency. Okay, so resiliency is a big topic that I like to discuss, and I find that it's the core of everything. Right. So if you're looking at a mind map, like you know what a mind map, yeah, there's a subject, right? There's a circle and a subject, and then there's all these branches that go off of that. So if you're looking at a mind map, I would say that the circle, the core thing for me would be resiliency, and I think that everything branches off of resiliency. So, for instance, if you wanted to become more resilient, something that would branch off would be, purpose, value, and meaning. You have to discover your purpose, value, and meaning, which increases your resiliency once you have that. Something else that would branch off of that would be, developing character, right? Health, right? If your hormones are regulated properly, you're more resilient, right? So things like that, nutrition, diet, exercise, helps with mental, psychological, and physical resiliency. If you're fit, you're going to be able to endure more. You're going to have a better focused thinking, stuff like that, right? So that branches off of resiliency as well. Perspective, how we think, the way we think also branches off of that. So everything in terms of personal development, even productivity, right? If you're productive and you have some sort of structure in your life, that will also aid in resiliency, right? So, I mean, all of these things that occur with personal development, I find branches off of the concept of resiliency, right? So I would say resiliency is in the middle of all that. It doesn't start with that. I would say the beginning would be, value, purpose, and meaning, but the core, where everything branches off of to improve resiliency, would be the middle. So everything in terms of personal development increases resiliency. So it is the core, it is the middle, and that's why I like to focus on that very concept. That stress inoculation, mental, psychological, physical stress inoculation, right? And as we grow that resiliency, everything else kind of grows, because you have to grow all these concepts around it in terms of personal development. And that makes you more resilient. And the more resilient you are, the better and the more likely and more capable you become of actually attaining specific goals that you want. All right. So let's start right in the beginning. Okay. So value, purpose, and meaning. If we spend our lives without that, then we often fall into a state of what is called apathy. So apathy, actually, if you look it up, there's a lot of articles, psychology articles on apathy, and it's actually one of the worst states to be in. It's just a state of just not caring, right? Not caring of your current situation, self or others. You're just falling into a state of I don't care, right? So when you have no value, purpose, and meaning, you fall into apathy. There's usually a decrease in everything, right? Because if we're not moving forward, or at least trying to sustain or maintain, then we go backwards, right? There's no sitting around and expecting things to just stay the same. It doesn't happen that way, right? We know that if we don't work out, over time our muscles atrophy. Okay, and when we're talking about neurons in our brains, it's called pruning. So skills that we don't use, our brain actually, because it's trying to be resourceful, it's trying to reduce the energy used. So skills that aren't used, your brain will prune it. So over time, we are letting go of neural pathways. Over time, we are depreciating our body, our muscles. If we're not using it, right? So muscle atrophy. If you're not using it, again, the body doesn't need the muscle. It doesn't want to waste the energy, right? So it's gonna start removing it, right? So as we age, right, our cells actually are losing its ability to repair and recover if we're not maintaining a level of health and fitness. proper nutrients, so on and so on. So we know that if we just sit around and do nothing, then our bodies degrade, right? Our mind and body degrade. So we can't fall into a state of apathy, because a state of apathy is exactly that. A state of not caring. A state of not caring means a state of not doing anything, right? So when you have a value, purpose, and meaning, now I'm not saying you have to have value, purpose, and meaning in everything, in your fitness, although of course it's ideal, fitness, mind, whatever, but you need to have value, purpose, and meaning that gives you direction in growth, in some sort of attainment, in sort of an outcome, right? So usually this is why goals are so emphasized, because a goal at least kind of points a direction and gives you meaning to grow, because goals force you to become better, right? So when you have a goal, so when we're talking about purpose is not goal. It's not a goal, but goals are on the pathway of life, right? So let's go a little bit deeper. Okay, so the purpose is actually just the compass of your life, right? So as an example, if you want to be a good father, would be a purpose, right? And the goals to being a good father might be spending time with your kids on the weekends, right? Making sure that they get to university or college. So these are goals. And then your purpose would be to be a good father, as an example, right? So the purpose is actually not a goal. The purpose is a direction. And then you have the goals as the milestones before that. So something like being a good father does not end. You can always be a better father, right? And that continually grows. So we need that purpose to break that apathy. So, but to be a good father, you see, it goes back to resiliency, because now being a good father requires you to be fit and healthy. So even though you don't have that that goal to be fit and healthy, having a direction, value, purpose, and meaning kind of forces you to expand everything, right? You're gonna have to start expanding your mind, because you can't. You want to be a better father, means you might have to learn more things. You might have to expand your mind. Right. Again, go back to health and fitness. You're gonna have to do all these different things to be a better father. So, as part of resiliency, the number one key thing is to not fall into a state of apathy. Right. And that serves on so many layers. Even if you're not thinking about, I want to be resilient. Every goal requires it, even if it's subconsciously. But I like to directly attack resiliency specifically, just because I love that concept. And I know that everything that we do requires, resiliency in order to attain a goal. So that it would be the root of the goal, right? The root. So to be a better father, you might have to, be healthier, so you can keep up with the our kids or whatever, right? Because they're so high energy, so we need to be healthy so that we can keep up with them. And as they grow older, they want to play sports or whatever, and we can also partake, so on and so on, right? I would say that's the fruit, but the root of every single goal, any single goal, whether it's to be a better father, a better husband, a better person, or a better athlete, a better business person, all of that, everything requires resiliency. So that I would say that's the core. But just to tie it all in, value, purpose, and meaning is required. That's the first thing. You need that. So start thinking about goals and start thinking about direction, right? Once you have goals and directions in place, that's the beginning. And that's what actually inspires you, motivates you to become better, right? And everybody should have it. Everybody should have a meaning in their life. Everybody should have something that they aspire to become, and to have their life stand for. That when an obstacle comes, they know where they stand. And that's gonna force you to become more resilient in your life. So value, purpose, and meaning. I've mentioned this several times in my other posts, my post history. But yeah, value, purpose, and meaning is so important to have. All right. So that's 10 minutes in. All right, so I'll see you guys next time. Think about value, purpose, and meaning. Super important for resiliency.